All right, so this is the notes on chapter 1, lesson 10. It's called positive exponents. So what this is talking about is this thing right here, x squared, x to the third, x to the fifth. When you look at a number like this, the x is called the base. So if you see the base of this exponent is 2x or x, whatever it is, just know that's what it is talking about this. And the exponent is the number that's, superscript above it, okay? What this means is when you see x to the second, x to the third, x to the fifth, is that you take this thing and you multiply it by itself this many times. So I'm going to erase this really quick. See if I can get an eraser. Don't need this anymore. Okay, so if I see this, this means x 2 times, so it's x times x. This one, x to the third, means x times x times x. X to the fifth, it's just 5 x's. X times x times x times x times x, right? So then sometimes though you'll see it the other way. It may be x. Let's do a different number actually. Y, because it can be lots of different numbers. Times y times y times y. So if you had that, what does that equal? Well, you know it's going to be y. And how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4. Y to the fourth. And if I had z times z, that's going to be z. How many times? Squared. 2 times. Okay. Now, there's a number in front of these. It's a 1. That doesn't really, or it does actually have something we have to consider, but for this lesson, it does not. Okay. Right now, we're just dealing with x's. So keep that in mind. What does this x squared represent? It represents x times itself 2 times, x times itself 3 times, x times itself 5 times, right? Okay. So then something to consider is, so say we have these x squared and this x third to the third power, or cubed they call it. What if we had to multiply them together? So x squared times x cubed. And if you look at that, all we're doing here is we're saying x times x, that's the 2. Then we do 3 more, x times x times x. So then in the end, our answer is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, x to the fifth. So the rule to remember is add exponents. Just add them. So when we're multiplying exponents, we add them. So if we had something that said x to the fifth times x to the third, that would give us the answer x to the eighth, because we just want to add them. Right? If we had something like this, x times x to the third times x to the third, right? This one can be a little tricky because there's no number here, right? But we know it's a 1. And then we would just add them, right? So 1, 3 is 4, plus 3 is 7. That would be x to the seventh. So whenever you see an x with nothing in front of it, it means there's one of them, right? And so that's kind of how you do that. Just add the exponents, count how many there are. Sometimes if there's no number, that means it's a 1. You just add that in and add them, okay? Do not multiply them, because if you said 5 times 3, that'd be 15. It's very different. And just remember how it works. It's just really saying x squared is x twice, 2 times, and then x3 is 3 times, and you just add them up. It's x to the fifth. Okay, then we have division, a little bit different. So then here, if we have x to the third over x to the second, if we were going to write this, we'd have x times x times x. On the bottom, we would have x times x, okay? And then if we were considering this, if it wasn't numbers, let me just show you how we would do that. You probably remember this. If it wasn't numbers or wasn't letters, it was numbers instead. Let's say we had like 2 cubed to the third over 2, okay? and I'll come back to this. So if we had 2 times 2 times 2 divided by 2, right? On the bottom, with fractions, you should know this. You can cross them out, right? So then this just becomes 2 of them. So this is 2 squared, which is 2 squared. 2 times 2 is 4, right? And if we just looked at this, it would be 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. 8 over 2 is 4, okay? This is the same way. So there's 3 x's, 2 x's on the bottom. We cancel them, right? So in the end, the answer is x. So, and you should see or kind of notice what's going on here. When you multiply exponents, you add them. When you divide, you subtract the bottom from the top. Okay. Subtract. Okay. And then let me show you. So you just look at 3, 2. So 3 minus 2, that gives us 1, and that's equal to x. That we got right here. Let me show you a few more examples, and you'll be ready for your homework. Okay, let's say we had this. X to the 7th over x cubed. Again, we would just do 7 minus 3, x to the 4th. Okay. And then let's say we had, I don't think it gives you any negative ones. I hope not. I don't think it does. We won't worry about negatives right now, because you can end up with something like, say if it was switched, 3 on the top, 7 on the bottom, maybe negative 4, and I'll show you what that means. I think we're going to do that today. Okay. And then so let's say we had x to the 4th over x, right? Again, this doesn't have 1, but we know it's a 1. 4 minus 1, that's x to the 3rd, and that's it. So that's how you do this. I want you to do for your problems even. This is on pages. We're going to do 2 through 24. We'll do 2 through 20 even. And I then want you to do 26. I want you to do 28. And I want you to do 30. So 2 through 20, that's 10, plus 3 more. Be ready to discuss. We'll go over these, not Wednesday. We'll go over these Friday at 1. Okay? All right, that should do it. Let me know if you have any questions.